Did you know that in CS2 the indicators for 10 seconds remaining on a defuse actually go off at 11 seconds? I'm going to show you proof and explain why it's actually important. In CS2, one of the most important hard-coded timings in the game is the bomb timer. Obviously, if you don't have a kit, you can't defuse if there's less than 10 seconds remaining, and if you do have a kit, you need only 5 seconds to defuse. Duh. Since it's hard to expect players to perfectly count to 30 after the bomb goes down, the game will tell you when there's 10 seconds left. It's pretty obvious. This timing allows you to realize that you messed up in the retake, and so the game gives you enough time to run away from the bomb to save your money into the next round. Valve decided that if you were 1/100th of a second after the defuse time, it shouldn't be a hard punish to your gameplay. You should just lose the round. And we know that Valve thinks this because it's been in the game for 10 years. It's also important to know that players have a much easier time counting from 10 to 5 than they do from 30 to 10. Because as the 10-second music goes off, it's pretty easy to just kind of unconsciously count in your head to 5 seconds and get the timing right. Especially it's made easy with the music being consistent every single time. Valve actually acknowledges in CS2 because some people don't play with music enabled. And so the bomb makes a distinct noise when the 10-second time hits, meaning that the game isn't just like pay to win with music kits, right? But to my surprise, it's not actually well known that the timer goes off at 11 seconds for this beep. And I think that it's a bug and it's not a feature. In CSGO, the music kit immediately plays right at the moment of 30 seconds passing on the bomb timer. So I took a 120 FPS video, meaning that 3600 frames after the bomb goes down is equal to 30 seconds. And my recording shows that there's 8 frames of difference here, but this is at 120 FPS, and 60 milliseconds is most likely due to the recording not lining up with the game, so sorry about that. So there's a margin of error in these data points by about 10 frames, but I have an example later that's going to show you why it doesn't matter. Now, if we take the exact same legacy music kit and play it in CS2, it goes off at 3502 frames or 29.18 seconds after the bomb was planted. I tested this in CS2 with the native music kit too, and I got 3485 frames or almost exactly 29 seconds, 29.04 seconds. I tried this with a custom music kit as well and got it to go off at 3507 frames in CS2. While in CSGO, it goes off at 3600. If you're wondering why the peak of the song happens 20 frames later than the 30-second mark in CSGO, it's because if we take the actual raw song file from the game and overlay it onto our video, we can see that by lining up the peaks, the game is actually starting the file right at 30 seconds, even though the really loud part of the song starts later. Meaning that CSGO clearly had the functionality to start the song at the exact start of the file, and there's no delay added in the game based on the music kit. Even though strangely in the game's code, it says that there's some kind of delay, but I can't seem to get this to work in any regard. Some of them go up to 0.5, which I assume is 0.5 seconds, but in game, they're not actually delayed by 0.5 seconds, so I don't know what this is. It's probably just a bug. But the main point that I'm trying to make is that it actually goes off at 11 seconds in CS2 and not at 10 seconds. And this bug has been in CS2 since at least October 1st of 2023. And now it is 2025. And I know this since there's a Steam thread that got 0 replies that I found just by doing a 5-second Google search. Also, do you remember the beeping that I mentioned earlier? This also does not line up at 10 seconds. If we look at the bare spectrograph of the beep noise with the 10-second addition beep sound, it's pretty clear that it's just the normal beep with these little added beeps at the end put on top of each other. And in this video, it happens at 3490 frames, which is 29.08 seconds. Imagine how many rounds in every single game played in Counter-Strike have been lost because people don't know this. If this is a feature and not a bug, then you've been warned. And if this is supposed to be the case, then Valve, please change the description to say the 11-second warning music. So I think there's 2 clear options for what Valve can do. One is to just fix it and move it back to 30 seconds, and it kind of seems like it was just an oversight that should be easily fixed. And friend of the channel 0K helped me go through the game's code and actually look at this in CS2 and in the leaked CSGO source code. And he showed me that in CSGO source code, the game defines something called a time to detonate warning and makes it equal to 10 seconds, and then calls that later in another function, just to play the music. But if we take CS2's client DLL file and reverse engineer the code a little bit in IDA Pro, we can see that there's a pretty similar piece of code right here, which labels the number as 11 and not 10. What the fuck? So okay, if this isn't actually a bug, and it's intended to go off at 11 seconds, I think it's kind of misleading. And so if Valve wants to keep this in the game, there should be some kind of noise that should go off at exactly 10 seconds to tell you when you have hit the timing. You know, if you don't have a kit, the game could play some kind of glitch and zap noise like this if you miss the timing, because it gives the player better feedback and tells them to run away. You know, I get that it can make the game more exciting, but since we already have music kits that tell us where the 10-second window is almost exactly, the excitement is pretty lost if you use a music kit like this. There is actually a single music kit, by the way, that has a huge note right at the exact 10-second mark, even with this bug, meaning that there's already no ambiguity if you have this music kit. And not to get the Security and Exchange Commission on my ass for bumping up the price of this music kit, but this music kit called Lock Me Up by Sullivan King has the perfect timings for both 10 and 5 seconds somehow. And I'm gonna show you how. So let's start the music kit right where CS2 starts the other music kit at around 3,500 frames. So the song Lock Me Up is at 190 beats per minute, which means that it's very close to 16 beats over 5 seconds. Meaning that you can count 4 bars of the song from the big hit until this weird shock noise just to get right around the 5-second mark. This advantage is really not the same for all music kits, and there's some insane music kits that I'd never heard before. I went through all 85 to try to look for them, and this is the best one that I could find. You know, if Valve fixes this bug, which they most likely will about an hour after I post this video, this kit will no longer have an advantage, so I wouldn't recommend buying one just for this. I would just say to know that it doesn't go off at exactly 10 seconds anymore, it goes off at 11 seconds. Valve, please fix and I'll delete this video.